from a suggested move to the city rivals the Dodgers, to the Angels hoping for a great season that can convince him to stay. Here's what these MLB experts have to say about Shohei Ohtani's future in the majors. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, a move to the Dodgers may be on the cards, purely from a player perspective. Ohtani's gonna be in dreamland if this works out, no? Just think about it. You'll have the chance to fight for the biggest prizes in the majors without having to uproot his lifestyle while staying in the same city. From a fan perspective, well, that's a totally different ballgame. The Angels supporters would be completely devastated to see Ohtani go, but it doesn't matter much, because according to Kerry Miller of Bleacher Report, their arch rivals the Dodgers are expected to go all out for Shohei at the trade deadline. Miller also reported that a package with names like Bobby Miller, Andy Pages, Dalton Rushing, and Emmett Sheehan could be dealt the other way. Noel Sanchez of Sports Illustrated, who has a soft spot for the Angels, addressed the rumors of the Dodgers making a move for the Japanese superstar, and he talked about how there are plenty of teams in the MLB looking to make their move. But he believes that the Dodgers remain favorites, and that Ohtani himself might also prefer that move. After all, you know what they say, once someone moves to Los Angeles, there's no coming back. However, as per an MLB executive, the Dodgers will have a lot of competition from another storied franchise, the New York Mets. Again, that's hardly a surprise. Like I said, every team in the MLB fancies their chances of landing Ohtani, either before the trade deadline or in free agency once his contract runs out. There's a very little chance that Ohtani will be donning the Angels jersey well into 2024. But there's great news for the Mets fans as far as this unnamed MLB exec is concerned. He discussed how the Mets are very much the favorites for landing the 28-year-old, mostly because Steve Cohen, their owner, was in attendance to see Ohtani play the WBC games in Japan. Well, turns out he's a huge fan of the player. But honestly, who isn't? While the general manager of the New York franchise, Billy Epler, was the same guy who signed Ohtani for the Angels back in 2018. So the in-house consensus couldn't be more in favor of getting the two-way sensation in. But the ultimate question is whether Ohtani would prefer a move to New York or not. See, around 5 years ago, Ohtani was asked about a possible move to the Yankees, and he said that he couldn't envision himself in New York. But 5 years is a long time, and maybe, just maybe, he wants a different challenge now. As far as the Angels are concerned, they could be looking at a big haul if Ohtani does decide to move for the Mets, especially if it means they get Francisco Alvarez in return. I mean, if Ohtani's the most wanted player in the big leagues, then Alvarez as a prospect isn't far behind. But before I get you too excited, there's another team in the hunt too, the San Francisco Giants. They're the team with the biggest threat to the New York Yankees, and after their failed bid to sign Aaron Judge, the 2022 AL MVP, the Giants also pulled out of a deal to sign shortstop Carlos Correa. They clearly have the money and resources to sign a big name, but they haven't made their mind up just yet. That hasn't stopped San Francisco from improving their roster further though. The outfielder signings of Mitch Haniger and Michael Conforto were fantastic, but these aren't the names that are gonna help them fight for the World Series. So it's obvious that when a name as big as Ohtani hits the market, you'd expect the Giants to risk it all. The Giants fans, though, have heard it all before, and they wouldn't believe these rumors until they see Ohtani standing on that mound in Oracle Park wearing the Giants jersey. As far as the MLB insiders are concerned, they think there's something in these rumors, because missing out on two superstars, there might be more determination to make this one work. However, one of the most realistic trade scenarios could see Ohtani join the Padres. According to USA Today's Bob Nightingale, Ohtani could be headed to San Diego. Their fans were excited about Juan Soto's arrival, but so far, he's pretty much been a disappointment. It might be too harsh and early to write him off already, but Nightingale believes that this career worst start for Soto doesn't bode well for his future in San Diego. In fact, he's suggesting Soto be used as bait for Shohei Ohtani sometime in the future, and as we all know, Ohtani's future is currently uncertain. So you can probably see the Padres making a blockbuster move on trade deadline in favor of the Japanese star, while Soto moves the other way. Sure, Juan's 4 years younger than Ohtani, but talking about recent production, the Dominican has nothing on him, so it might be a no-brainer move if the Padres can get it over the line. Ultimately though, no matter how much the Padres or the Giants want Ohtani, the Dodgers remain the most likely landing spot for one of the league's most coveted superstars. Andrew Friedman, the president of baseball operations, addressed the Ohtani rumors recently. He mentioned how their ownership has always backed the franchise at every turn, and while he didn't name any names, it doesn't take a genius to figure out who he was talking about. Friedman added that they never wait a year or 2 or 3 for something to happen. If they feel it's the right move, which will improve the roster immediately, they go all out to make it happen. Their record this season has been average, but isn't that more of a reason to get Ohtani in? Not only will he shake things up for the Dodgers, but he'll also motivate the rest of the squad to come up with the goods. So for any Dodgers fans out there, this is your time to hope that your team performs in the best way possible. And also while you're at it, keep your fingers crossed for your city rivals to keep performing below par. If things go according to plan, the Dodgers will be well placed to tempt Ohtani into making the switch across the city. But whoever does sign the Japanese superstar knows that they'll be parting with a lot of money. After all, Ohtani is expected to become the first $500 million player in MLB history. That's bigger than his teammate Mike Trout, who famously bagged a 12-year contract for $426.5 million. And as good as Trout has been on that promise, teams wouldn't mind parting with that much money. The MLB hasn't seen a better talent than this Japanese star in a long time, if ever. According to Marca, Ohtani's agents will be looking to land their client an average of at least $45 million per season. All the interested teams acknowledge this and are more than happy to make it happen. Their list includes the Dodgers as the favorites, along with the Mets, but they also expect the Yankees to be at the negotiating table when the deadline is approaching. In fact, there's a chance the Chicago Cubs and the Texas Rangers throw their hats in the ring too. Of course, the Cubs haven't signed a long-term contract worth even $200 million, let alone $500. But Bob Nightingale also mentioned how the Cubs are one of the teams to look out for. Interesting to say the least. An AL executive also called the Chicago side to be in the talks, and he could easily see Ohtani going there. Meanwhile, the Rangers are also expected to cook something up. That said, as torturous as this video may have been for the Angels fans, there's still a chance that Ohtani could stay. It's gonna be tough, but it could happen. At the end of it all, what the Angels need to do is show Ohtani that they have it in them to fight for the biggest prizes in the MLB. Because the problem is, he's gonna be 29 in July. He wants to become a playoff regular. He wants to win the World Series. And the current supporting cast that he has with the team isn't good enough to get him all that. So, if the Angels can showcase some ambition before the trade deadline, make some blockbuster moves, or some underrated moves that immediately improve the team, then they could convince Ohtani to fight for all those prizes with the team he chose to play for all those years ago. He is the most impactful player in baseball right now, and for many, in history as well. And when you have someone that good, you've got to go out of the way to make it work, even if it's risky. Because if Ohtani decides to leave, the fans won't be sticking around for long either. So, from the Angels trying to do what it takes to keep Ohtani with the franchise, to a move to the Dodgers on the cards. This is all I have on MLB experts addressing Shohei Ohtani's trade rumors.